Welcome to the Bulls Guys podcast, Bulls fans. The Bulls defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers 117 to 104 as we're here to, talk about that when the Bulls snap a four-game losing streak. I'm your host, Kenyatta Wright. My co-host, Greg Love, is not here today. He's sick. So we're going to try to carry things, until he can get back. And we're going to go over this game. Also, Lonzo Ball to have season-ending MCL surgery. That's going to be 6 to 8 weeks with him out. So he shouldn't be back until about April. So basically, the Bulls are playing the rest of the year without him. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to also talk about some trades that have been coming up, some trade rumors and some facts right after this. How do you feel about the Bulls? How would you like to be on our show, the Bulls Guys podcast, and give your thoughts on the team? Send us your emails at talkingbulls82@gmail.com and we'll be glad to have you on. You want the most uncensored and unbiased podcast? The Bulls Guys podcast. As only Kenyatta Wright and Greg Love can bring it to you. Follow us on Anchor, YouTube, and all social media platforms. You can use your support. All right, we're back here on the Bulls Guys podcast. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. It helps us to keep bringing you great content. And this is what we do. Podcasting is our life. It's our thing. And please support us. Also follow us on the Facebook page, Bulls Guys Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at TalkingBulls82. And let's jump right into the show. So the Bulls defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers, and this was a fairly close game until about the last 5 minutes of the game. The Bulls pulled away with about a 13-2 run in that fourth quarter. But this was a game I felt like the Bulls adjusted to what the Cavaliers were doing, which they were using their size, they were using a lot of zone. And I was panicking in this game watching DeMar DeRozan and Kobe White and Ayo try to guard these bigs, man. And Mobley and Love and Jared Allen basically picked them apart. Allen had such a good game, only 6 points tonight. But as a team, the Bulls, they did really, really well. They forced turnovers. They forced 15 Cleveland Cavaliers turnovers tonight. And the Bulls had 12 fast break points, so they got out and ran. And then they attacked the paint a lot more. DeMar and his ISO getting to the rim, making plays. 58 points in the paint for the Bulls. Vooch at 24 tonight. Vooch established himself in the paint. And I think that's a good area for Vooch to establish himself down there, down low. He's been shooting a lot of jump shots, which is not his game. And I feel like if he plays through the post, I feel like he can develop, in that area, and he'll be more successful. He's not a jump shooter. He can hit shots, but he's not a jump shooter. From three-point land, the Bulls shot 45%, Cavaliers shot 33%. And this game, basically, it was needed. The Bulls losing 4 straight, 3 blowouts if you count Memphis and a squeaker in Boston, which I felt like they could have won with better play calling. Jimmy, Billy coming out of that timeout, drawing up our ISO play. I felt like, he could have drew up something, to open up some three-point shooters or Matt Thomas and Kobe White. They had it going. But the Bulls went into this game tonight, and they had Alex Caruso back, who contributed 9 points to 3 rebounds. And I felt like he brought a lot of energy back to the team. A lot of hustle. He had a couple blocks, couple threes. He was getting in, Kevin Love's chest when he was trying to post up. Man, Alex was guarding some big men in this game, man. And he just basically brought that toughness that we've been lacking in the last 4 games. And I was happy to see it. And, the things that he brings to your team it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. It just does not. And I was glad to see him back tonight. The Bulls are going to need more of that in Milwaukee on Friday night as they take on the Milwaukee Bucks. So the Bulls snap, a 4-game losing skid, improve the 16-6 at home and dominate in fashion. And it's just good to see players like Ayo, getting off, 15 points, 8 assists tonight. So he was distributing the ball. He hit some big threes down the stretch when the game was getting kind of tight. And I felt like, they were crucial threes when we really, really needed them. And he just repeatedly just kept hitting threes, 3 for 4 from the 3-point line tonight. And Chicago-born native. And I think he was the steal of the draft, man. For this guy to go to draft in the second round, I just felt like that's crazy. He shouldn't have drafted so low. And he's proven himself this year. The Bulls got a really deep team. Speaking of their roster, the Bulls are going to lose Lonzo Ball for 6 to 8 weeks as he will undergo meniscus surgery. Ball suffered an injury in that Golden State game, and up until this point, nobody knew what the injury was. And in fact, everybody thought he was okay. But when reports came out that he was going to get surgery, it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks, and if you do that time frame from right now, that'll be April. So it'll be just the players will be starting before we get them back. So we basically lost Lonzo for the rest of the year. And I think that's a big blow. It's just a big blow. I wanted this year for Lonzo. I wanted him to, develop, keep on developing. He was doing pretty good with us. But this will open up an opportunity for Ayo to do his thing. And then when Lonzo gets back, Ayo's confidence will be through the roof. He's been starting all year. But the Bulls been dealing with injuries all year, man. This team is just resilient. Still have the best record in the East at number 1 at 28-15. And to go through everything we went through this season with the injuries, with COVID protocols, it just speaks volumes of the character of this team that just keep on fighting and fighting. We had some bruises. We had some beatdowns, but we're still standing. And, we got a win against Cleveland, and we get a chance to move forward. But one of the things that I liked about the Bulls in the Cavaliers game is when Cleveland started using their size, the Bulls stopped going one-on-one and they started guarding by committee, swarming the Cleveland bigs, forcing them to pass the ball out. And a couple of times they found Lauri Markkanen and he knocked it down. A couple of times he didn't knock it down. But, they forced the Cleveland bigs to find other looks and didn't just allow them to just back down and back down and back down. And that, I believe I mentioned that in a couple shows that's what they were supposed to do, to accommodate for their size. But going into this trade deadline, there's been a lot of rumors of the Bulls possibly going after Jeremy Grant. But I've been reading a lot of sources, and I follow a lot of people on Twitter that know a lot, and they're saying Jeremy Grant's going to want an extension of $112 million. And I don't know how is it going to be possible to re-sign him and sign Zach LaVine. I just don't see that scenario going to happen. So I'd rather not go after him. I mean, the Bulls, like I said in the last couple podcasts, the Bulls' problem is really, really simple. They just need a shot blocker. That's it. That's all they need is a shot blocker. They don't need to go get some big-time star. All they need is a shot blocker. Then I'm hearing, Paul Millsap wants to come over, and how, he was his second choice. And listen, man, I don't feel happy, we was his second choice, and the guy is old. So I don't think, I want him. I don't think I want Paul Millsap, and I don't see how he can help this team. Paul Millsap is 36 years old, and I mean, he's an old gunner. And I just don't think the Bulls need to, waste their time going after Paul Millsap. And there's been some other names that have been tossed out there. John Collins of the Atlanta Hawks. There's been some talk about the Bulls trading for him. And that trade was crazy. John Collins only averaging 17 points and 7 rebounds. And to trade Kobe White, Patrick Williams, a draft pick, and Troy Brown Jr. I just think that's a lot. And then I think they wanted Derrick Jones Jr. in that deal too. So that's basically 5 players you want for a player that averages 17 and 7. And I don't think he's what the Bulls need. The Bulls need a shot blocker. And they just keep on pulling out all these all-star names that are not going to fill the void. And then these teams are asking for too much for their players, you know. And that's what I hate about trade deadlines. So it feels like somebody always gets the short end of the stick and somebody's going to get got. You know, it's never an even trade. It's always one team asking for way more than what they're giving. So yeah, it's just been a lot of names being thrown out there, and I think based on what I've been seeing, the Bulls would be better off staying pat and getting somebody out the buyout market. I think that would be a better choice for them. Kobe White has been playing really well. 9 straight games, scoring in double figures, hitting some key threes down the stretch. Getting in the paint. Getting some open looks, getting guys, finding guys, on the wings when they're wide open. Kobe's been playing smart basketball, and I would hate to lose him right now. I think we can use him in the playoffs. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about Lonzo Ball's injuries, the Bulls' injuries, and the players that they still have currently out. And we're going to discuss more about the Chicago Bulls right after this message, folks. Talking Bulls can now be heard on 3 separate platforms. Follow us on Spotify, Anchor, and YouTube. Back on the Bulls Guys podcast. So Zach LaVine is going to be out for the next 3 games. Lonzo Ball, as I told you guys earlier, is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Derrick Jones Jr. Is still out. I think they said 4 to 6 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. The last time I read a report on that, Bulls fans, trying my best to get you the most accurate information. I believe, the reports that I read is he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So he probably has about 4 or 5 more weeks left. Around the same thing as Lonzo Ball almost, man. It's like we lost our best players, man, our most best defenders this year. Bulls gonna have to pick up some guys, man. I don't know how many emergency contracts they have left, 10-day contracts. But how about the boy Malcolm Hill, that we picked up? He's doing pretty good for the Bulls. He's pretty solid, man. Picked up a couple charges and had some really, really great defensive stops. Hit some wide open 3-pointers in that Celtics game. He really showed me something. Bulls might have to pick up some more guys like that. But to be honest with you, I want to see the Bulls get some size, especially to replace Derrick Jones Jr. I want to see the Bulls get some size. We got Cook back, so that should help us a little bit, in the front court. But these injuries, man, and these COVID protocols has been a hell to deal with for the Bulls. But they still maintaining the East as the number 1 seed. And I really want to go into the playoffs as the number 1 seed. I don't want the number 2 seed, number 3 seed. And some people say, well, it don't matter. It's the playoffs. It's going to be different or whatever. I still want the number 1 seed. It's just something for me to see us going as a number 1 seed after being picked as a play-in. And then I don't not only want us to enter the playoffs as number 1 seed, I want to succeed. And that basically is the end of my show, because I've basically said everything I wanted to say. The Bulls picked up this big win tonight. And when we come back, I'm going to go into my final word, and then we're going to end off the show right after this. How do you feel about the Bulls? How would you like to be on our show, the Bulls Guys Podcast, and give your thoughts on the team? Send us your emails at talkingbulls82@gmail.com, and we'll be glad to have you on. Time for the final word. Time for the final word. So family, Family is another word for team as far as basketball terms. We got one of our family members back today, Alex Caruso. And with another family member returning, family business goes back to the way it used to be. The Bulls forcing 15 Cleveland Cavaliers turnovers tonight. The defense is back. The hustle is back. The Bulls are somewhat back. If the Bulls can get back some of the other soldiers in Zach LaVine and Derrick Jones Jr., the puzzle will be complete. But sometimes a team must go to war. A family must go to war without some of its other family members. And how you prosper in that war, despite the losses, proves and shows a lot of character. And with character becomes the familiarity of winning. All right, Bulls fans, that's the end of our show. Follow us on Twitter at Talking Bulls 82. Get live updates of anything that's going on with the Chicago Bulls. Instant news as I follow the best sources around the world that follow the Chicago Bulls. So follow us on Twitter at Talking Bulls 82. Get all the most up-to-date news. Follow us also on Facebook at the Bulls Guys Podcast Facebook page. And we're on other social media platforms like Spotify and now obviously on YouTube. So, the Bulls Guys podcast is going further and further and getting growing and growing and growing. And thank you for the subscribers that have subscribed in the past couple of weeks. We really appreciate it. And we're hoping for some more subscribers. The Bulls, they did their thing against Cleveland, but Friday is going to be the real test. And, we got to get a win in a TV game. I know you guys want that just as much as I do. We got lost 2 straight TV games and really bad ones too. So I hope the Bulls get that for you guys. And me and Greg, and hopefully my partner, my colleague will be back. Praying for you at home, man. Hoping you feel better. And thank you for joining me tonight, Bulls fans. Go Bulls. See you in the next game.